Hello, Red Sox fans. Welcome back to Talk Sox. Ethan and Brandon here once again to talk about everything going on in Red Sox world. Obviously, the big news over the last 5 or so days pre-Thanksgiving, and now obviously coming out of the Thanksgiving break, is that Sonny Gray is a Boston Red Sox. Obviously, there's so much fallout here just before the winter meetings. Obviously, we anticipate that Boston's going to make a few more moves. But as things stand right now, Sonny Gray looks like he's going to be the number two starting pitcher in the Red Sox rotation. So, Ethan, I want to throw it over to you. What are your thoughts on this move? Do you think the Red Sox did well in this trade? Do you think they have to do more after acquiring Sonny Gray? How do you feel about everything so far?
I mean, you and I, for the entirety of 2025, have talked at length about the pitching staff of the Red Sox, and something had to be done because Garrett Crochet could not do anything, could not carry the team. I mean, he really did in 2025. And look, Brian Bayo, all the love to the guy. He's been with the team for a good amount of years, but I'll say what we're all thinking. He chokes a lot, and it's no hate to the guy, but like for being on the team for so long, look, he's a veteran player at this point, and I don't think he's producing veteran content for us. So to get somebody like Sonny Gray for, the contract that we got for him, his ERA for 2025 was a 4.28. That's not terrible for a righty pitcher. And for what it's worth, I'm really looking forward to in 2026 a good righty pitcher. Again, I don't mean to throw shade at Brian Bayo right now. But like next to Garrett Crochet, to have this guy as our number two in the lineup, I'm really excited for 2026 because I think in the pitching department, forget about fielding for a second. In the pitching department, we really suffered if Garrett Crochet was down for the count.
Yeah, I completely agree. In my article on the front page of Talk Sox, I wrote that Gray is what I believe to be a legitimate no-two starting pitcher. People disagree with that statement, but even if that's semantics, if you think he's a number three guy or whatever the case is, the point is that he's a really good pitcher. And obviously, again, there's a lot of contract hijinks going on, but basically it all works out to that the Red Sox are getting him for 1 year and about $21 million. That's a good contract for a good pitcher. I mean, really, I mean, he's run, an expected ERA and an FIP below, 4 every single year for the past 6 years. I mean, if that's not, a frontline caliber starter, I don't really know what is. Again, he's 36 years old. He's not going to be as dominant as Garrett Crochet is. He obviously doesn't necessarily strike out as many guys, but he's got a deep arsenal of pitches. He gets a lot of whiffs, and again, he's pitched in the postseason throughout his career. He was a phenom, back as a rookie with the Athletics 12 or so some odd years ago. So he's been around the block. Again, this is the kind of move the Red Sox I think needed to make, especially at the onset of the offseason, because now your options open up. Obviously, Dylan Cease just signed with the Blue Jays, so now there's something of like a literal arms race going on in the AL East. But whether it's a free agent like Framber Valdez or Michael King, or whether they want to make that big swing for, Tariq Skubal or Freddie Peralta or maybe Hunter Green. Again, the options are just completely open now. Where, hey, listen, you have Garrett Crochet, you have Sonny Gray, and you have Brian Bayo as your top three guys, and then you have prospects like Peyton Tolley and Connolly Early. Who knows what happens with them? But yes, I agree. They still need another frontline pitcher if they're really going to go all in on 2026. But in a vacuum, getting Gray was such a smart move for the Red Sox to make now, so that no matter what happens the rest of the offseason, at least they've reinforced the rotation in some way.
I think the other thing to think about that you kind of like touched on a little bit is that this is such a rare move for the Red Sox because so often, like you already mentioned, we focus on our farm system so much for players, like we did
Mhm.
with, people like Roman Anthony, excuse me, like Connolly Early. And look, they were great, when Roman Anthony was healthy. But when Connolly Early stepped up to the pitching mound, he was great when he needed to be, but it was a little bit too late in the season already. To get somebody like Sonny Gray, who has been in the MLB for, almost over 10 years at this point, we're getting close to 10 years, that's
Well over 10 years at this
well over
point.
10 years at this point, excuse me. I think he started in like 2013.
Yeah.
That's a rare occurrence for the Red Sox in the front office these days to pick up, a veteran player. It's very rare at this point that we see, or at least in the past few years. So I think that this is a great move for the Red Sox. Like you said, Dylan Cease is out of contention at this point. So to pick
Mhm.
somebody up like this, I think for a lot of people, you'd say, well, it's controversial. Maybe we should have picked up a different player like Michael King. And that still could be a thing that happens. I think like we talked about in a different video on one of our sister sites, the Padres might still want to hold on to somebody like Michael King after losing Dylan Cease, but I think that this is all in the right direction at this point.
Yeah, I think, again, I'll sort of close with what you just said, which is that, yeah, the Red Sox obviously love to hold on to their prospects. They really only traded one, though. Brandon Clark is a really good pitcher. We know this about him, but he's been jumped in the organization by a lot of guys like Connolly Early, like Peyton Tolle, Kyson Witherspoon, the first round pick from this year. He was expendable, and it's a nice thing to see that the Red Sox are willing to trade some of these really talented but still expendable prospects for a 1 year solution. Again, 2026 is really the last year of certainty that baseball has right now under the current collective bargaining agreement. And I'd love to see the Red Sox make another big move for another starting pitcher, or as has been rumored, potentially another big bat if maybe Alex Bregman leaves. But regardless, we'd love to gather your thoughts on this. I know this has been an ongoing discussion in Red Sox Nation recently, but how do you feel about Sonny Gray? Did you like the trade? Do you think the Red Sox have to do more? Do you think that the Red Sox are pretty solid in the rotation now? Let us know your thoughts, and as always, we'll try to respond to every single comment.